Welcome to Accessible Europe 2019 in Malta. And please join me in welcoming Ms. Inmaculada Placencia-Porrero, Senior Expert, Disability and Inclusion Unit, DG for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion, European Commission. Thank you for joining us. And could you please guide me as regards the plans on course of action on a European level for the next year on ICT accessibility?
Well, we have been developing quite a lot of accessibility legislation in the area of ICT, and now is the moment to advance on the implementation and make sure that all the opportunities that this legislation brings is really put in place. We have accessibility obligations that relate to economic operators. The most recent piece is the European Accessibility Act, and we are in the process of transposition. We're in the process of working with the member states so that it becomes national law. But we also have got developments in relation to providing better access, availability, affordability for persons with disabilities in the area of electronic communications. So we are working hard also to make sure that those provisions bring the benefits for persons with disabilities that they were intending to. And finally, we also have in this area revised legislation on audiovisual media services, and it's also in its process of being put in place. In addition, legislation that requires public authorities to buy accessible is already available, and this is really very useful to ensure that ICT accessible products and services become available for persons, whether it is the public that deals with the administration or also for employees of those contracting authorities. It's also another area, and you might have heard during the event, and my colleague is also, has also referred to it, is the area of the web accessibility, where legislation is coming into force, and it's going to make that websites in Europe of public sector bodies become accessible. And finally, I would like to refer to the obligations that we're having in expending funds, EU funds, that respect accessibility, that, for example, the structural funds or trans-European networks. So these are the course of action. Make sure that we use the legislation, that we have the tools available for making it applicable and a reality.
You mentioned the European level, and in fact, what are the biggest challenges being faced?
Well, I think the biggest challenges that we find in Europe, or the biggest, let's say, steps that we will need to take to make sure that all this ecosystem of ICT accessibility works properly, is to have first people that will be able to implement of this, and persons that are trained, that are competent, that are aware of ICT accessibility. We need to see that also persons with disabilities are involved in that development. And another big challenge is to understand that ICT accessibility is not a one-off event. It's not that because you make a website or you deliver a service once accessible, that remains. You need to pay continuous attention and to see this as a process, as an ongoing process in which attention is maintained and not forgotten.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Ms. Placencia-Porrero, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.